Welcome back to our English class. I am Akshay Singh.
And I'm Monica Iordache.
And today, 8th graders, we are going to have a look at the first and second conditional. So, let's go on. Before we go into that, remember, we had given you some homework last time for make and do. I hope everybody has got their homework with them and have done it. So let's have a look at the answers. The first one, I made many mistakes on my composition last week.
The second one, my sister did the dishes last night.
We do the dishes. We made plans for our trip last week.
Could you do me a favor, please?
And I am going to make an appointment with the dentist tomorrow.
My wife did the cooking last night.
Could I make a suggestion?
My mother did the shopping last Friday.
And please do the bed when you wake up. I hope you have that correct. And let's move on to the first and second conditionals. Let's have a look at these sentences first. Today we are going to dream a little bit. But there's a little difference in these dreams. Let's have a look at the first sentence. If I had a plane, I would fly all over the world. Similarly, if the weather is good, we will go for a walk in the park. If I won the lottery, which I wish I will win one day, I would buy a new house.
If Raluca studies harder, she will pass. If I were taller, I would play basketball. If Jonas had 1,500 lei today, he would buy some clothes.
Great. Let's have a look at these sentences and maybe you can spot how they are different. In this one, if I had a plane, I would fly all over the world. This is what we call a completely imaginary situation, which will most probably never happen. Similarly, if I won the lottery, I would buy a new house. Most probably it will not happen. Try to see the differences. And in this third sentence, if the weather is good, we will go for a walk in the park. What is the difference? In the second sentence, if the weather is good, there is some possibility that it will happen, it could happen, which is why we use these structures. If I had a plane, the past tense, plus the would. And in this one, the present tense, weather is good, we will go for a walk in the park. And now let's carry on. We'll move on to the first conditional sentences. Maybe we can make it clearer for you. If I study hard, I will pass the exam, which means, students, that I can pass the exam if I study hard.
Există o mare probabilitate să promovezi examenul dacă voi studia considerabil. If you go to bed late, you will be tired tomorrow.
If I eat all the chocolate, I will feel sick tomorrow. Something that is very possible to happen.
I'll buy you a drink if you come shopping with me.
This, students, is what we call the first conditional. Alex will go to London next week if he gets a cheap flight. It can happen, and that is why we call it the first conditional. And now let's move on to see exactly how we form the first conditional. So remember, the first conditional is a possible situation which could happen.
Folosim condiționalul de tip 1 pentru a exprima situații reale, planuri sau lucruri care este foarte probabil să se întâmple.
There can be realistic situations or realistic plans, things that can happen. And the formation, if plus the present simple and will plus the infinitive. So let's have a look at some sentences. Or before that, let's play a video so that you will remember this part easily. Okay, students, we had a look at some of the first conditionals. So remember, quite simple. If plus the present and will plus the infinitives. Time to practice now so that we remember. Let's go. Practice makes perfect. If you dash this letter now, she dash receive it tomorrow.
And the answers are send, so present tense, and will receive, future, for the main clause, right?
Correct. The second one, you dash hire insurance if you dash a sports car.
And the answers are you will pay if you buy a sports car.
Similarly, third sentence, now if is in the first part of the sentence, if I dash your ring, I dash it back to you. If I
find your ring, I will give it back to you.
So, very simple structure, try to remember that. Monica dash shopping if she dash have time in the afternoon.
Right.
Monica.
And the answers, Monica will go shopping if she has time in the afternoon. Thank you for considering my interest in shopping, Akshay. That was kind of you.
I knew you would like this sentence. And the next one, if her boyfriend doesn't phone, the negative form, she will leave him.
The next one, if they dash harder, they dash the exam.
So, two negatives. If they don't study harder, they, future, won't pass the exam. Similarly, if it not rain tomorrow, I dash have to water the plants.
And the correct answers are doesn't rain for the if clause and will have, of course, for the main clause.
For the main clause. Great, students, that was the first conditional. Now let's move on to the second conditional. Just remember, if you know the difference when they are used, and the formation is simple. The second conditional. As we said before, the second conditionals express things that probably will not happen. These can be imaginary things that are just impossible or completely unlikely.
Folosim condiționalul de tip 2 pentru a defini acțiuni care cel mai probabil nu se vor întâmpla. Acestea pot fi lucruri imaginare sau pur și simplu imposibile.
So what do we mean by things that will not happen? If she fell, she would hurt herself. Most probably she is not going to fall. That's why I'm using the second conditional. If she fell, she would hurt herself. An imaginary situation. Similarly,
if I were taller, I would buy this dress.
An impossible situation, I am not taller. If the weather wasn't so bad, we would go to the park, but the weather is bad. So again, an impossible situation.
And another one, if I was the Queen of England, I would give everyone a chicken.
A chicken.
But I'm not the Queen of England.
You are not the Queen of England.
I would have loved to.
And the next one. If I had a plane, I would of course fly all over the world. And let's move on obviously now to the form and structure of the second conditional. The second conditional express things that probably will not happen. Please remember, they can be imaginary, they can be simply impossible or very unlikely. The structure, if plus the simple past and would plus infinitive.
Vom avea în propoziția subordonată if and simple past și în propoziția principală would plus infinitive.
Great. And of course, your favorite exercise. Practice makes perfect, makes you perfect. So let's practice a little bit. The first sentence. Why don't you also try it? If I dash enough money, I dash a big house. Remember, second conditional, past plus would.
And the correct answers are had for the if clause and would buy from the for the main clause.
The second one, if you dash a better job, we dash able to buy a new car?
And the answers are had for the if clause and would be for the main clause.
The third one, you would lose weight if you ate less.
The next one, they dash more money if they dash so many clothes.
Not so difficult. They would have more money if they, past tense, didn't buy so many clothes.
Let's see the next one. If she dash always so late, she promoted.
Remember, past tense, if she wasn't always so late, she would be promoted.
Let's see the next one. If I dash you, I dash a new job.
Try to remember this form, students. I say, if I were you, I would get a new job. Remember, if I were you, and the last one, if we dash friends, I dash angry with you.
And the correct answers are weren't for the if clause and would be for the main clause.
So simple enough. Let's have a look at a video now so that we remember what's going on.
Second conditional. What is another way of saying eating everything is going to make me fat? If I ate everything, I'd get fat. This is what we call the second conditional. The main function of the second conditional is to talk about hypothetical or imaginary situations in the present or future and their consequences. This is Ted. Ted's poor and lives in a small house. He wishes he was rich so he can buy a big house. How can he say this using the second conditional? If I were rich, I'd buy a big house. Notice how we used were for the pronoun I. That's because for second conditionals, we use were for all pronouns after the word if in the condition clause, including I, he, she, and it. However, we can also use was in informal language, especially in formal speech. In this situation, Ted is using the second conditional to express his desires, whereas in the previous example, the boy did not want to eat everything. However, both are hypothetical or imaginary situations, which are not true. A third function of the second conditional is to give advice. However, for short, we can just say the result or consequence clause. We can use could instead of would. Could means would be able to. Let's give this a try. James has a crush on Sophia. He wants to ask her out on a date, but he can't because Sophia can't speak English and James can't speak Greek. So James says, if I spoke Greek, I could ask Sophia out. In this sentence, instead of saying, I would be able to ask Sophia out, James says, I could ask Sophia out. We can also use if only to say that we want things to be different. It has the same meaning as I wish, but it has a stronger emotion. For example, if only I were rich, I'd buy a big house. If only I spoke Greek, I'd ask Sophia out. However, we often say this without the result or consequence clause. For example, if only I were rich, if only I spoke Greek. However, we don't use if only for giving advice. We only use it to express desires. Let's have a look at another example. Sarah wants to go swimming, but it's raining. Is Sarah talking about the past, present, or future? She's talking about the present. Is it raining now? Yes, it is. Is Sarah swimming now? No, she isn't. Does Sarah want to go swimming? Yes, she does. The form of the second conditional is condition clause, comma, plus result or consequence clause. The condition clause is if or unless plus past simple, and the result or consequence clause is would or wouldn't plus verb in the base form. For example, if I ate everything, comma, I'd get fat. If I were you, comma, I'd buy a new phone. We can also switch the positions of the clauses. The form is result or consequence clause plus condition clause. Notice that there is no comma when the clause positions are switched. For example, I'd get fat if I ate everything. I'd buy a new phone if I were you. So to summarize, we use the second conditional to talk about hypothetical or imaginary situations in the present or future and their consequences, to express desires, and to give advice.
Okay students, I hope you enjoyed that video and I hope it made you remember first conditional, second conditional, remember. So it's our turn to try now. Remember, the first conditional is used to express realistic situations, plans and things that are very likely to happen. We will go to the park if it doesn't rain tomorrow. So if plus the present simple, will plus the infinitive.
And the second one, for the second conditional, we use it to express things that probably will not happen. And in terms of structure, we have if plus past simple in the if clause and would plus infinitive for the main clause.
Great, so now it's time for a little bit of work.
Again and again.
Again and again. And the second one is all yours. Now you're supposed to use either the first conditional or the second conditional. So you can see this one. If I see John, it's possible that yes, I will see him most probably. If I see him, I will tell him your news, first conditional.
The next one, you dash my brother if you to town on Monday.
So is it possible? Can it happen? It can. So you will meet my brother if you go to town on Monday.
Let's move to the third one. Meg sleeps only 5 hours a day. If she dash longer, her health dash fast.
In this one, the situation is not really possible. It's imaginary. So I use the second conditional. If she slept longer, her health would improve.
The next one, if she dash to talk to me, she dash, and we should adapt the verb. I guess she doesn't.
So she doesn't want to talk to me. It's not going to happen. Once again, second conditional. If she wanted to talk to me, she would ring up.
Let's see the fifth one. If you dash help my father dash you.
Now it's up to you students Can you identify the first conditional or is it the second conditional? Is it something that can happen? Yeah, of course, you're right. It's the first conditional. If you need help, my father will help you.
The next one, I dash Mr. Brown if he dash slowly. And let's see the answers, Akshay.
I would understand Mr. Brown if he spoke slowly, but he doesn't speak slowly.
What a pity.
What a pity. And now, of course, your favorite part of the lesson, the work that you have to do. It's your turn now. This is our piece of homework for you for the next time till we meet. Make sure you take a copy of this. You can take a picture, practice a little bit, and the first conditional and the second conditional will be no problem at all. Before we end, we'd like to acknowledge that we have taken some help from the net, from these sites.
Thank you for watching. That was all for today, students. Stay happy and as healthy as possible. For the next time, we will be doing, Akshay.
The next time we'll be doing 6th graders vocabulary about places in town, and for the 8th graders vocabulary health and illness. And I'd like to just restate, stay healthy, stay happy. If you stay healthy, we will be happy. First conditional. Okay, see you next time. Have a good time.
Have a fantastic day. Thank you.